Hi everyone, this is Barbara Beckmann here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this background. This is a commission painting that I recently did of a wedding couple, and I was just a little bit lazy, so I didn't feel like taking out my airbrush and cleaning all the needles. So what I did was I went ahead and I did it a different way, so I thought I would show you how I did that today. So here's a piece of Frisket, and it's just a film, it's a masking film that you can place over your drawing. And what you do is you trace it out and you cut it out and it simply sticks right on. It's a very sticky piece of paper, but it's not too sticky that it will damage your artwork. I use Gamsol for thinning out my pencils, and I used Caran D'Ache and Luminance pencils to create this, or to create the people, and my Derwent eraser. So that's a must-have for anybody that's working with colored pencils or graphite or pencil work at all. It's a great thing to have in your toolbox. So I just used a couple mop brushes, and I used a couple small brushes, like a number 4 through number 5, number 10, just something small on hand, because it's an 8 by 10. So what I did was I taped down my Frisket here, and I'll just go ahead and do that so it doesn't move around on me. I use a black Sharpie, and this is where you just want to take your time and make sure that you really trace around your drawing pretty well. And you do that because the area that you're tracing around, you're going to be cutting out, and this will be applied right down on top of the drawing. So anything that's going to be in the middle of these pencil lines or these black Sharpie lines will be masked out, and the paint will not be there. So you just want to take your time that you have nice crisp edges. Go slow, there's no rush in here. I use a small, very sharp scrapbooking scissor, and I simply just turn with my hand the paper. It's a little bit easier than actually turning the scissor to get the cuts. So if you notice that, I'm a righty, so I'm cutting with my right hand. I'm actually turning a lot with the left hand just to make it a little easier on me. So again, don't rush this part. This really has to be as perfect as you can get it. This is just one of the masking techniques that I'm doing here. I'll be doing another one in a moment, and that's just to give me a second barrier protection. So here that is, it's liquid mask, and I'll be applying it with an old paintbrush, which I don't really care about. It's pretty ruined. But I will try to get as much of it out at the end because I continue to use this with other projects. But this is definitely an old paintbrush, one that I don't really care about. So you just go around, just be as careful as you can be. I probably go a 1/4 inch in towards the center of my drawing. My drawing takes a lot of hours and time to make and to get right in the proportions, so I really want to protect this. I don't want any paint seeping under at all while I do my background. So this is how I do it. It just gives me a second layer of protection here. So don't leave this on too long. You don't want to sit here with a week or 2 weeks or a month. It will start to yellow your paper. I left it on for a few days. I did have other projects I was working on at the same time. So you will see a little bit of a residue when I do peel this off. Now it simply peels off with your fingers, and I did show that coming up soon. It's very easy to remove. You can remove it with your fingers, or you can remove it with a plastic eraser. It comes off quickly. So I also took the opportunity here to use the masking in the background. Now there is some blue sky that's going to be peeking through, so I decided to use it here. So when I peeled it up, I would have a nice white area that I could go ahead and paint blue, so I wouldn't be painting the blue right over the green. So I also took the opportunity to paint in some foliage, some flowers that were there. I'm not paying attention to detail at all. Meaning I'm not painting in details like petals or leaves or stems. I'm just kind of putting a suggestion that they're there. So it's kind of like little blobs here and there. That's primarily what I'm doing now to the right, is I'm putting in these little tiny dots which indicate flowers. I try to do everything very odd numbered, and I don't repeat patterns. I try to keep it as less pattern looking as possible. So I really try not to repeat what I'm doing. And I go very quickly, and that's the best way, at least for me, to make sure that I'm not repeating anything. So it's blurry background. I have to keep thinking blurry. There's not a lot of detail back here. The couple is definitely the main focus, so everything in the background is definitely going to be blurred out. So I do want to keep some white edges there, like I said, and I will be painting some of them green or highlights, but it's just easier to go over a white area than it is to go over like a dark area. So there's a lot of little flowers and a lot of little things happening over here that I wanted to keep bright white as long as I could. So that's why I'm using this masking. Now I took some artistic license, which is great. You can always take things out of a picture that you don't like. There's a lot of dark branches above the couple's head, so I decided to remove them and I changed it up a little bit. But I do want to make the focal point of this couple to be in the center, and that's where I want your eye to go to. So here down the bottom, I'm also using the liquid mask to create pockets of light where her dress might be showing through these wispy grasses, and also some pockets of the dark colored from his pants. So it's a great way to show, you know, her dress flowing through these wispy grasses that are up high, covering the bottom of her dress and her shoe area. So I left enough white area there, and if it was too much, if I overdid it at any point, then I could always go in with some of the green paint later on and take some out. But I thought that I would paint enough to see how it looked. It's just a lot easier, like I said, than painting white over the screen. So I'm working on the parts now where his black pants will be showing through. It's just a suggestion of them. So I peel off my Frisket now once the liquid Frisket has dried, and I place it down as carefully as I can over the couple. So this will be my second barrier of protection. So if anything seeps underneath this film, it will have another opportunity to be caught by the mask, and hopefully my couple will remain completely free of any paint. So I just push with my hands really strongly to make sure that these edges are pretty secure down, and once I'm confident in that, I go ahead and I'll start to use the acrylic paint on the background. Applying the first layer of green paint to the bottom part. It's the lightest of the greens because this couple is probably out in an open field and there's a lot of wispy tall grasses, and there's nothing blocking their view, so it's going to be a bright green. And the top part's going to be all in shadow, more of, you know, the wooded area that's not getting a lot of the sunlight. So it's a lot of layering. I wait for things to dry and I use a lot of water. Same technique as I'm doing on the top here. And if you notice the horizon line where the two meet, actually, it's not perfectly straight as if I took a ruler and cut them in half. It's going to be, you know, wispy, tall grasses, so it's going to be very uneven. So I keep that in mind the whole time. Now, the focal point is that couple, so the background's supposed to be blurry. I certainly could have done this with my airbrush, but it's just an 8x10 painting, and I figured this is also a way to achieve it. So that's why I chose to do this and to show you. So here's a handheld airbrush. And it's just a little pump that you put in your hand and you squeeze it, and you can put markers in it. I have alcohol markers in here. They're by Spectrum Noir. And I just wanted to create some little dots in some areas of suggestion that a lot of things were happening there. And that's the way I chose to do it. I'll try to find that link to that and put it online for you. It actually came in my kids' one of my kids' art boxes, so I might have trouble finding it, but I'll try to find it. It's a great little tool to have in your stash as well. So here I am just taking a small liner brush and I'm placing in some of the branches, and I'm just making them very dark green, and I'll go over them again, layering them very lightly over and over again until I achieve the look that I want. So there's going to be a lot going on in the background, and as well as the grasses below. Now the grasses below are going to be closer to you. They're going to be more in the foreground. So these dark areas here that I'm working on now are pushed way in the back. Now I don't want any attention to detail to them at all. I just want to block in shapes and some dark areas because, like I said earlier, they're going to be in the shadows. This is the wooded area. So an old toothbrush is great. This is one that I used new from the beginning. It has not been in somebody's mouth. It's a great little tool to have in your art supply snacks as well. I use it for a lot of different things. So it came in handy here to make bushes. So as the acrylic dries darker, so I realized when this was dry, I wanted to darken up things just a little bit more. So that's when I went in again and just added some more branches. I keep thinking the whole time that this needs to be very blurry, fuzzy background that's pushed back in the distance. Nothing's going to be in any detail. So as I do that, I don't want to repeat shapes. I just want to keep things very sporadic. And the less control I have here, the better I feel. This way I'm not repeating any patterns or anything like that. If you're going to be painting anything that you need to have, like, you know, flowers on one side or the other, I always do odd numbers. Okay, so I wouldn't put 3 flowers, or 6 flowers, I might put 3, I might put 5. So the part I'm taking off here with the masking fluid, it comes off right with your fingers. It's very easy to remove. The top section there is going to be where the sky is peeking through, and the smaller sections to the left and right of the couple are going to be suggestions of white flowers that was on some of those branches or bushes. So here I'm blocking in some of those blue patches of sky that's peeking through up here on the top left hand of my painting. And it's very light and airy. That's why I chose not to paint it green and then come over it with a light blue. I want to see it, but it's just a suggestion that the sky is there. And the photograph is not something that my eye went to, but I did want it to include it. I did take away some heavy branches that were above the couple's head. They were a little dark, and I figured you can use your artistic license at any point to take things in and out of a painting. That's what I love about painting. You don't have to paint exactly what you see. So I chose to take those branches out. So I'm just going to go back in once that sky was dry. I went in and I wanted it to be a little bit brighter blue. So I waited and I went in again and brightened it up a little bit. I just take my time going around the areas here. There's a lot of color, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of, you know, different leaves and different colored branches and bushes. So as long as I chose different colors and went around trying to create different shapes or suggestions of trees and bushes and branches and anything else back there, I knew that I would be on target here. It would be there, you would know what it was. You're fooling your eye, and that's the whole process here. It's just trying to fool your eye that something is there. It might not be there, but your eye's going to fill it in, your mind's going to fill it in, and you're going to see it. So I'm just taking some of these white areas here, and I'm just knocking them down a little bit with some light green, like almost like the first wash that I applied to the very first part of the bottom part of the painting. It's very, very watered down, so you can still see that there's something there, but they're not necessarily bright white. And you're definitely not going to see any detail to them. So you're not going to see anything like, you know, the petals, formations, the center of them, nothing. So it's just blobs of color. And I chose to do it this way just because I could have more control over what color I would actually be determining it would be. So it's, again, a lot of light washes, and that's how I was able to do it. You just have to really take your time, and you have to look around. I didn't like some of these shapes up here. They were almost too shaped. So what I did was I just took some of the green and I dabbed a couple dots here and there going in towards them to make it look a little bit more natural. There I am dabbing it off. You can always dab things off if you did too much, or if you want to change it. You can change things at any time, really. So I'm going to peel off that frisket, and I should have a nice clean edge here. That was my first barrier. And you can see my second barrier there was the couple. Now I did leave it on for a few days, which I generally don't do, but I was busy with other projects, so I couldn't get back to this right away. So I just use my finger and I go around and it comes off quickly. It's kind of like gummy, I would say. It's kind of fun to peel this off. It was always my favorite part when I was first learning how to use it. And it did create a little bit of a residue around the couple because I kept it on for a few days. You can see it when I peel this off right around here. But when I went over it with the Luminance pencils, it quickly disappeared. So in this video, I'm just going to show you the background. And if you want to see how I painted the couple, look for a video. I'll be posting it within the next couple of days. I did use the Luminance colored pencils throughout this whole couple area. And I used Gamsol to blend, and that was primarily it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing the blurry background and how it came together nicely. It was pretty easy to do. It saved me a lot of work. It saved me a lot of time coloring it in with the colored pencils. It's just a little trick. Nobody will ever even know. Once you seal it, it kind of all looks together. Because the colored pencils, you're blending it in with Gamsol, it does look like a painting. It does, it's not going to look like colored pencils that you use like when you were a child. It's definitely going to look more like an oil painting or an acrylic painting. So that's why I was able to use the background the way I did it. So it came out pretty well. I was happy with it, and I've already passed this on to my client, and they gave it actually as a wedding, their daughter's first year wedding present. So I heard that they were very happy with it and pleased, so that makes me happy. Spend a lot of time on your drawing. That's just the key to it. I spent a lot of time, attention to details, where her hand was, her bouquet, position of their faces. As long as you have a good reference photo and you take your time and you go slow and have a good solid foundation in your drawing, it's going to look good. So the background doesn't have to be perfect, but the couple I tried to make as perfect as I could be, because obviously commission painting should resemble the people that you're painting. If you notice that I'm doing very, very, very light applications of color, this is my first application here. I'm not going to show too much of it. Like I said, I'll be posting the video of the actual couple within the next few days. Hopefully I'll get that up tomorrow or Tuesday. It is Sunday at the moment, or Monday by now, 1 o'clock in the morning, so it is Monday morning. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see me do any different things or techniques that I have a lot of different videos up, so I can always grab something that I've already done and post it for you. Just take your time and have fun, and don't rush it. That's the main thing. That's the best advice I could give anybody. And it will come along. Just enjoy the process, because you wouldn't be painting in the first place if you didn't enjoy it. So hope you liked the video. Please give me the thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more. Hopefully you'll come back for more, and I'll see you around soon.